4th of May 2004. Police in Russia finds a bunker with two girls who have been there for years. They were abducted and sexually assaulted by Victor Mokhov. And here is Victor in 2021, a free man, drinking beer and giving interviews, which he enjoys a lot.
От меня дела больше не рожает. Ничего не знаю. Надо опять меня заняться.
In this video, I will tell you full story of Victor Mokhov's case. Everything started 13th of September of the year 2000. Provincial town named Ryazan in Russia was celebrating local holiday. That day, 17-year-old Lena Samokhina called her friend, but she wasn't home. But her sister, 14-year-old Katya, answered, so Lena asked her if she wants to go to a party with her. Katya agreed and lied to her mother, telling that they will just go for a walk. That same evening, 50-year-old Victor Mokhov, worker of the local factory, with his friend Elena Badukina, were driving around town on Victor's car, searching for a victim. Victor was one of the best workers in his factory, winning awards and recognized as the best in his field. But his personal life wasn't as successful. He grew up in a family of father criminal who was often jailed and powerful mother who was constantly suppressing him and everyone around. All of this led him to become sexually obsessed 50-year-old man living with his mother and having no personal life. At some point he read a news outlet about another case where Alexander Komin abducted females and held them in his basement as slave workers in his clothing manufacture. So Mokhov decided to abduct females to his own bunker as sex slaves, and that evening he and his friend Elena Badukina went hunting. They noticed Lena and Katya walking from the bus stop, so they stopped the car, and Elena offered girls to give them a ride. She did this while pretending to be a man. She looked manly herself and was easily imitating male voice and behavior. Girls agreed. Lena told Katya that they will get to their destination faster. Mokhov and Badukina then stopped, went to the store, and bought 2 chocolate bars and gave them to girls. Then they offered them vodka, and before that they added sleeping pills inside. At first Lena and Katya refused, but after some persuasion they agreed. Katya, as she later said, was afraid that she will not look cool, and decided to drink too. During all that, Mokhov was mostly silent, and Elena did the talking. Soon both girls got very dizzy and were barely staying unconscious. Mokhov and Badukina then drove them to some unknown location and stopped the car near some dark building, which turned out to be a garage. And inside of it there was a bunker. Mokhov was building it for the past 3 years out of concrete and steel with thick gateways. Vitaly told his neighbors that he's building a simple cellar. Before the girls, he tested his bunker on one woman, but after a couple of weeks he forgot to close the gateway and she escaped. But sadly she decided not to go to police to tell what happened. This made Mokhov much more careful and prepared. So he and Badukina took girls inside of that bunker, which had rooms and mattresses. Right away Mokhov sexually assaulted his victims, and if they refused, he threatened them to feed them to dogs or just kill with his knife. At first Lena tried to protect Katya, but Mokhov didn't care. And the next few years became hell on earth for the girls. Mokhov was turning the only light bulb in the bunker off when he was leaving, and the girls had to use a bucket as a toilet, which made breathing in bunker unbearable. He also was giving his prisoners pasta and eggs so they could boil them, and it was almost the only food they were getting for all these years. Mokhov was continuously assaulting his victims and almost started thinking that horrendous things he was doing were not forced, and they should be grateful. He sometimes said horrible things like, I feed you, give you alcohol, have sex with you. Is life that bad for you here? Since the moment of disappearance, police started the search. Dozens of police officers were patrolling the streets of Ryazan, questioning the pedestrians and showing them photos of the girls. They checked every morgue, hospital, train station. News reports were warning viewers that girls might be abducted and in danger, but all of this, and still police didn't get a single lead. After some time, they started searching for girls' bodies using help of police dogs. They were searching before it started snowing, still nothing. Information about missing girls was sent to all of the Russian police departments and to foreign countries through Interpol. Detectives considered possible that they might have been transported to other countries and used as sex workers. During that period of time, human trafficking wasn't uncommon in post-Soviet countries, and still no results. Soon, in March of 2001, Lena got pregnant, but Mokhov didn't really care. Being pregnant in such horrendous conditions was unbearable. Locked in the dark bunker, feeling sick and nauseous while being sexually exploited. Both girls were begging Mokhov to release them, and he was just answering, "Soon, soon." After first summer in captivity, Vitaly started allowing Lena and Katya to get close to the bunker exit so they could breathe fresh air, and sometimes he was letting them out for a walk on a leash during nighttime. Lena's pregnancy was closer to the end, so he gave girls a book about birth process and told them to read and prepare. 6th of November, Lena gave birth to a boy. 15-year-old Katya was the only person who helped her to give birth. She was using bandages wetted in alcohol and kitchen knife to cut off umbilical cord. 2 months after the boy was born, Mokhov left him near the doors of one of the apartment buildings. Boy then was found and adopted. Lena then got pregnant again and gave birth to another boy in 2003, and he was adopted too after being left somewhere by Mokhov. Girls tried to leave the note in boy's diaper, but Vitaly found it and threw away. Mokhov also was constantly spraying tear gas into the bunker, even while the newborns were there. He did this when he thought that Lena and Katya were quote-unquote misbehaving. In 2003, Mokhov started letting Lena and Katya go for a walk in his garden. He thought that they don't have their own will anymore and they won't escape. And also Katya, who was already 16 years old, started pretending that she loves him, so she could maybe get a chance to escape. Mokhov started trusting her more and even was letting her stay with him in his home and sleep in his bed, but he still was using chains so she couldn't escape. Once, Katya even was able to get rid of those chains, but Mokhov caught her before she ran away. In spring of 2004, girls got their chance to escape. Mokhov started renting a room in his house to a young student of medical college. He tried to get her to his bunker, but she wasn't responding to any of his advances and was never agreeing to drink with him. So he decided to use Katya to help him. He asked her to add sleeping pill to girls' drink. Vitaly introduced Katya to the student, telling that she's his niece. Katya was able to secretly tell her not to drink the beverage with the pill. And soon, when the student was cleaning the room, she found a note left by Katya. This note was telling, "Victor is not my uncle. He holds us in the basement since September of 2000. He can kill you or us. Take this note to police." The student soon found excuse and left Victor's house. She returned to her hometown Novomichurinsk and went to police. She told everything about Victor and gave officers the note. They contacted the police department of Skopin, small town near Ryazan where Mokhov lived, and at first they didn't believe that this note and the story were true. They thought that somebody just wants to prank a quiet factory worker. But then they remembered about 2 girls that went missing in Ryazan a few years ago. Soon, police squad was sent to Mokhov, but they couldn't find the entrance to his bunker, and Victor wasn't answering to any of the questions. But they found Victor suspicious. So detectives decided to scare him and warned that they will demolish his garage and will search space under it. Mokhov got scared and showed them the entrance. To find it, you needed to open the steel plate behind the garage that was fixed using magnets. When entering bunker, detectives were shocked.
Сколько вы здесь находитесь?
С 30 сентября 2000 года.
4 года лежит? 4 года, да?
Вот вы представляете, здесь вот.
И никак убежать нельзя было.
Мокрый. И мы куда сюда попали вообще очень...
Есть жара. Как вы здесь находитесь? И зимой все это самое?
Soon, Lena and Katya were finally rescued from the bunker, where they spent the last 4 years. Victor Mokhov was arrested and charged with sexual assault and kidnapping. Psychiatric evaluation recognized him as sane and fitting for trial. Mokhov's mother was telling the detectives that she knew nothing about the captives in his garage, and she thought that Katya, that was often a guest at their house, was Mokhov's friend, but we cannot be sure if she actually knew about the bunker. He was very afraid of his mother as she was very demanding and overbearing. Mokhov also told the psychiatrist that he was never loved by anyone, and the girls he liked never paid attention to him, and this was causing quote-unquote trauma for him through his life. Mokhov was sentenced to 17 years in prison, and Yelena Badukina, for helping him abduct the girls, was sentenced to 5 years, 6 months in prison. People were outraged by this, but by Russian laws, if nobody was murdered, sentences rarely exceed 15 years in prison, and Mokhov was also cooperating with investigation and confessed to everything right away. At the moment of release, Yelena was pregnant with her third child, but sadly he was stillborn. But this story didn't end here. 3rd of March 2021, 70-year-old Victor Mokhov was released from prison. He spent 16 years and 10 months there, and after release will stay under police surveillance for 6 years. Obviously, when a person who committed such heinous crimes is getting released from prison, people's attention will get drawn. Mokhov was invited to different TV shows in Moscow and was allegedly paid huge amounts of money for participation in them. Ratings were sky high, and he almost started feeling himself like a pop star.
Вину свою скопил, конечно, что теперь. Всю жизнь страдать. У девочки сейчас все хорошо, мне это радует. У нее все наладилось.
Если бы вы могли избавиться от каких-то черт своих, характера своего, что бы это было?
Какие черты? У меня все черты хорошие. И нет плохих черт.
Вы себя считаете хорошим человеком?
Ну, оступился немножко. С кем не бывает. Лена стала учительницей английского языка. Она там учила английский. Я копал словари, учебники. Катя вообще рукодельница была, мастерица. Катя там жила, она не рожала, а Лена рожала. Сейчас наоборот получилось. Катя родила, а Лена нет. От меня родила, больше не рожает. Я не знаю. Надо опять меня заняться.
As you can see here, deep inside, Mokhov didn't really feel guilt or remorse for what he did. In some ways, he thought that he's a good person in girl's life, and people who saw all of these interviews were outraged. So police and prosecution decided to act, and court ordered that Mokhov can't communicate with journalists anymore, and he couldn't visit any bars or restaurants where they served alcohol. After it, Mokhov disappeared from public eye. There's no exact info about what happened to Yelena's sons. We only know that both of them were adopted, and one allegedly to one of the foreign countries. Soon after being released, Yelena and Katya stopped communicating, and they did not stay in touch. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Bye.